You may have heard these 4 lines before, usually somewhere very quiet. Someone stands at the front and reads them out. Everyone lowers their head, and the air in the room gets heavier. For a lot of people, the first time they ever hear this verse is at a funeral. One thing before we start. Today opens at a funeral, and it's built on loss. If you're in fresh grief, come back to it another week. Stopping now isn't failing. Now back to that room. The impression most people carry away from it is one word: bleak. Death. Everything disappears. Nothing means anything. Today I want to tell you the opposite. The better you understand this verse, the lighter you get, not heavier. You might ask, a funeral poem, what has that got to do with my Tuesday? Quite a lot. Because you don't have to wait for a memorial service to lose things. You're losing them right now, daily. The old job, last month's mood, the person you were 5 years ago. This verse is about that ordinary, constant drift. Because it isn't really about death at all. That's the common misreading. It's about this month's payslip. It's about your flat. It's about the job title printed on your card. It's about the relationship you currently can't put down. Here's something you may not have noticed. A lot of your tiredness and your anxiety doesn't come from things being bad. It comes from gripping something that is, the whole time, quietly changing. And then wanting it not to. Wanting time to stop at the part where you were doing well. Do you know this feeling? The thing is still here, still perfectly fine, and you've already started being afraid of losing it. The moment your standing goes up, you start bracing for the fall. The relationship is at its sweetest, and you're already dreading it cooling, enjoying it and guarding it at the same time. That way of holding is exhausting in itself, because you're not just keeping the thing, you're also, simultaneously, trying to stop it from changing. And there's a name for what you're up against. It goes back to the earliest layer of this teaching, 2,500 years ago. Impermanence. Not impermanence, meaning bad luck. Impermanence, meaning anything that was put together will shift and will come apart. So this isn't a moral lecture telling you to care less. Caring less sounds passive, as if the aim were to want nothing. It's the exact opposite. What this verse hands you is a way of looking. Learn it, and you end up more grounded, not more detached. One practical note before we go in, and it covers the whole lesson. What follows will very likely bring someone specific to mind. Take it slowly. If you're carrying real distress, the kind that's already heavy when you wake up, please talk to someone qualified. This is a way of seeing. It is not therapy, and nothing in it replaces that. And if you ever feel unsafe, or you have thoughts of harming yourself, that isn't a lesson-pacing matter. Contact your local emergency number or a crisis line now. Today we do 3 things. 1. Take apart the verse that closes the sutra, line by line. 2. Walk through the 6 pictures and hold each one against your own life. 3. The line that actually matters. And it is not, everything is empty. It's the last line. I'm keeping that one for the end. Before we start, back up to the map. The whole Heart Sutra region behind you, fully lit. Emptiness, the 5 aggregates, the 18 realms you've walked all of it. And this blade, the Diamond Sutra, you've already made 3 cuts with it. First cut, lesson 006. Give rise to a mind that rests on nothing. fully engaged but never pitching camp. Second cut, 007. Whatever bears a mark is hollow and false. What you see is the picture inside your head, not the thing itself. Third cut, last lesson. No mark of self, no mark of another. When you help someone, don't help with 4 bundles on your back. Today, the fourth cut. Also, the last lesson on this sutra. After this one, the blade goes away. But this cut is a strange one. Strange enough that you might not recognize it as a cut at all. Why strange? The first 3 all cut something away. They cut away the camp you pitched, the picture you believed, the bundles you carried. The fourth doesn't cut. It puts the blade down and hands you a way of seeing instead. At the very end of the sutra, the Buddha stops arguing. He simply says 4 lines of verse. Think about that, a text, this rigorous, ending on a poem. Because by the end, he doesn't want to explain anymore. He wants you to look once with your own eyes. A poem is for seeing with, not for arguing over. And the 6 pictures he chose are ones you meet every day. A dream, an illusion, a bubble, a shadow, dew, lightning. Things a child could name. How can images that plain be the closing statement of a whole scripture? Keep watching, and you'll see. Before the pictures, one phrase to unpack. Conditioned things. It sounds technical. It isn't. Conditioned means somebody or something made it. It was put together. And thing here is as broad as it sounds. Any item at all. So conditioned things means simply everything that has been put together. Look around you. Nearly all of it qualifies. Your flat is bricks, cement, and a deed assembled. Your job title is a company and a salary assembled. Today's mood is how much you slept, and 2 sentences somebody said to you assembled. Not one of them stands up on its own. So what's the signature of a conditioned thing? Pull out one of its conditions, and it changes. The company folds and the title evaporates the same afternoon. Sleep badly 3 nights, and today's good temper is gone. They aren't unreal. They're very real, they're just borrowed rather than owned. You already learned this, actually. Back in 001, dependent origination. This being, that comes to be. The conditions are there first, and then the thing is. Conditions gather, it assembles. Conditions scatter, it follows them out. So, conditioned things and dependent origination are 2 faces of one idea. Dependent origination describes how it gets built. Conditioned things is the name for the finished article. And anything built out of conditions inherits one temperament from them. It moves. That moving is the whole lesson. What gets assembled will change. Not because it's defective, because it was a pile of conditions to begin with. The conditions are shifting every second. How could it hold still? The tide comes in either way, but demanding that a sandcastle stand forever at the tide line. The demand is a second weight carried on top of the tide. It's the one you can set down. You might ask, is anything exempt? The tradition says yes, but very little. Almost everything you actually touch in a day, from your bank balance to the thought you're having right now, is conditioned and is moving. So when the verse says everything, it means, near enough, your entire world. This fact has a name. All conditioned things are impermanent. Conditioned things is everything assembled and moving. Impermanent means there's no state here that stays. It's one of the 3 marks, as this tradition counts them. And it's the through line we opened the entire course with, back in lesson 000. So today is a debt being settled. In 000, I told you, the whole of Buddhism starts from one observation: nothing stays. 9 lessons later, the Buddha takes that same observation and draws it as 6 pictures you can actually hold. And it connects straight back to 002. That lesson was emptiness. Nothing has a fixed self of its own. Impermanence is what emptiness looks like along the axis of time. Emptiness is the horizontal cut. You can't find a core. Impermanence is the vertical one. You can't find a frozen frame. One fact, 2 angles. By now, there may be a voice in your head. It's saying, so what's the point? If everything changes and everything scatters, why am I working this hard? That's the right question. It's exactly why so many people hear impermanence and immediately pull back. I'm not going to answer it yet, because the answer is folded into the last line of the verse. You have to walk through the 6 pictures first to collect it. But here's something to hold in the meantime. Impermanence is not pessimism. It's just an accurate description. And think it through. Because things change, bad stretches end. Because things change, you can grow at all. A world that never changed would be the actual hell. So impermanence is bad news and good news in the same breath. And this verse teaches you to hold both sides in view at once. Let's read it once. All things that have been put together are like a dream, an illusion, a bubble, a shadow, like dew and like lightning. So should you see them. 4 lines. The first names, the subject, everything assembled. The middle 2 give you 6 pictures. The last one is an instruction. The middle 2 lines are today's work. 6 images. Dream, illusion, bubble, shadow, dew, lightning. 1 footnote worth knowing. The surviving Sanskrit of this verse runs to 9 images, not 6. It has no shadow at all. Nothing in any Sanskrit we still have corresponds to it. And it adds 4 of its own. A star, a flaw in the eye, a lamp, a cloud. The 6 you're about to see are Kumārajīva's early 5th century Chinese, and they're the version that shaped East Asia. 1 word on the second image, because English can mislead you here. The character behind it means a conjurer's illusion, something produced vividly there, with nothing behind it. That's the one I'll walk you through. And once more, because it matters. These are not 6 different things. They're 6 lenses aimed at one single fact, and they're in an order, getting closer to the bone each time. 1 at a time. The first, dream. While you're dreaming, do you know you're dreaming? No. Inside the dream, everything is completely real. You're frightened, you cry, your heart pounds. Only on waking do you learn. None of that happened. Which moment of yours is the dream talking about? 3 a.m, awake, turning that one thing over. At that hour, it's big enough to blot out the sky. The more you think, the more final it feels, as if nothing else in the world counted. Then the sun comes up. You get to work, drink some water, say 2 sentences to a colleague, and you notice it isn't the size it was at 3 a.m. The you of the small hours was dreaming. Not that the problem doesn't exist, that the sky is falling version of it at 3 a.m. was a dream. So the dream teaches you one move. Ask yourself a question. Right now, am I dreaming? Not, is this fake? But, does my reaction really need to be at 3 a.m. size? Ask it, and you wake up slightly. And usually, waking up puts the thing back to its real size. One honest exception, and it matters. If it is the same size in the morning, and if that is most mornings, week after week, then it was never a 3 a.m. dream, and this simile is the wrong tool for it. That pattern is worth saying out loud to a doctor. The second, illusion. A magician makes a coin appear in an empty hand. You saw it. It was there. Reach for it, and there was never anything behind the appearance. The signature of an illusion is this: convincing while you're watching, and there's nothing behind it. The illusion is about the thing you're chasing. Once I make manager, I'll be settled. Once the mortgage is paid off, I'll be free. You get there and find a fresh line drawn further out. Above manager, there's a director. One flat becomes wanting 2. Notice what is and isn't fake here. The promotion is real enough to cash. The flat is real. What has no substance is the picture attached to them. Once I'm there, I'll be at peace permanently. That permanently is the illusion, because peace isn't a location you can walk to. The third, bubble. A soap bubble is beautiful, and it carries every color, but it has one temperament. The instant you try to hold it, it's gone. A bubble doesn't refuse to be looked at. It refuses to be gripped. The bubble is about the moment you want to keep. A really good dinner, the whole family there, nobody missing. And you think, I wish it could always be like this. In the second you reach to hold it, you've stopped being at dinner. You're standing guard over the moment, afraid it will leave. That's the bubble's lesson. The harder you grip a beautiful moment, the less you're inside it. Half of you has already gone somewhere else, gone to being afraid it will end. The bubble says, look at good things, enjoy them. Just don't close your hand. Closing it is what pops them. Quick one pause here. Once I own a place, I'll stop feeling anxious. Which of the 6 is that? Dream or illusion? 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. It's the illusion. Because the picture looks completely solid. Own the place. Feel secure. But get there, and you find the anxiety has simply changed clothes. Can I make the payments? Is the value dropping? Not that owning a home is a bad thing. It's the promise, and then I'll stop being anxious, that has nothing behind it. The fourth, shadow. Your shadow goes everywhere you go, but bend down to touch it. Your hand is always on top of it, never in it. The signature of a shadow, it really is there, and it cannot be picked up. The shadow is about how other people see you, your reputation, the version of you that lives in their heads. It genuinely exists, and it genuinely affects you, but it exists inside them, not in your hands. You want to hold it, steer it, and you can't. And there's an irony in it. The harder you work at managing how you're seen, the less you resemble yourself. Because you spend your days performing for the shadow. A shadow can't be caught. Walk your road and it follows on its own. Stop to grab it and you've stopped walking. The fifth, do. out early, and the grass is covered in it. Each bead perfectly round, holding the morning light. Then the sun climbs, and by midday it's dry, all of it. Dew isn't fake, it genuinely soaked your shoes. It simply doesn't last. This fifth one is about your moods and your states. This morning's good mood. That impulse 10 minutes ago, that flare of anger. They really came. They weren't put on, but they're due on grass. You don't have to chase them off. They dry by themselves. Moods, yes. Not everything. Some states sit for weeks and don't dry. That's a different thing entirely, and it needs a doctor, not a simile. What's the use of knowing that? Considerable. In the moment you're furious, if you remember this is dew, you won't make the decision right then, while the grass is still soaked. You'll let it dry a little first. Most of what you regret was decided before the dew was off. The sixth, lightning. How fast is a lightning strike? Fast enough that by the time you've said, "Look," it's already over. You are always reacting after the fact, to a flash that is already finished. Lightning is about the present moment. You think now is a stretch of time you can stand inside. It's faster than that. By the time you've said the word now, the first half of it is already behind you. The present isn't a place to stand. It's a strike, going off continuously. Which makes live in the present a much deeper instruction than it sounds. The present can't be kept, so the only thing available to you is to actually be there while it flashes. Not replaying what just happened, not rehearsing what's next. It's that fast look away and you've missed the whole light. Another quick one. The good mood I had an hour ago is already gone. That kind of state arrives fast, leaves fast. Which simile fits best? Shadow or dew? 3, 2, 1. Dew. A mood is due there at dawn, dry by noon. The shadow is about not being able to hold how others see you. The dew is about your own states, not lasting. Keep the difference. The shadow is out there. The dew is in here. One more. The sweetest stretch of a relationship. The part you can't make stay. Which is it closest to? Bubble or lightning? 3, 2, 1. Bubble is the closer fit. The honeymoon isn't fake. It's genuinely lovely, like the colors on a bubble. But the moment you try to freeze it, to make it not change, that squeeze is the beginning of the burst. Lightning isn't wrong either. It's just as brief. The bubble adds one layer. It's your grip that ruins it. 6 lenses side by side. Dream. You only know once you wake. Illusion. Convincing while you watch. Nothing behind it. Bubble. It goes the moment you touch it. Shadow. It can't be picked up. Dew. It won't last till noon. Lightning. It's faster than you are. Do you see it? All 6 are saying one sentence. You are trying to grip something that has been moving the whole time. And they're in an order. This isn't a random pile. It runs from, I didn't know it would change, dream and illusion, to, I know it changes and I want to keep it anyway, bubble and shadow, to, I can't hold even 1 second of it, dew and lightning. From not seeing through it to seeing through it and still gripping, layer by layer, and it gets closer to the bone each time. There's one more layer underneath all 6. The 4 truths, back in lesson 1, the origin of suffering is craving, the thirst that wants to get, wants to keep, and above all wants things not to change. It's that last face of it today's verse goes after. What the 6 similes are quietly telling you is this: every single thing you want to grip is, by nature, in motion. Now, one thing this verse does not say. There is pain that simply comes. Illness, loss, a death. Nothing in this verse pretends otherwise. Lesson 1 called that plain pain, and it needs no explaining. What the 6 similes address is the weight you add on top of it. The wish that it wouldn't move. That one, and only that one, is the part this practice can put down. Right, now the line I held back. The last one, so should you see it. Most people assume the point of this verse is the first 3 lines. Everything is a dream, a bubble, a shadow. It isn't. The point is those last 5 words. Take the line apart, and it says, you should in this way look. And look here doesn't mean glance. It's a verb you're meant to keep doing. So, the last thing the Buddha hands you isn't a conclusion. It's an instruction for a practice. This distinction matters, so let's be exact. If it were a conclusion, it would read, everything is empty, so give up. He doesn't say that. What he gives is an instruction. Next time you catch yourself gripping, look at it like this. A conclusion tells you to clock off. An instruction tells you to start work. This verse is the second kind. So, see it this way is not an order to stop caring. The reverse. It says, love, act, commit exactly as before, while knowing one thing underneath it all. This was put together, and it will change. One hand fully committed, the other able to let go at any time. Why look rather than know? Because knowing about impermanence is easy. You already know it. And tomorrow you'll still be angry in traffic. Knowing happens once. Looking happens daily. An idea only gets into the body by being looked at, again and again. That's why it's a practice and not a fact. Now we can answer the question from earlier. If it all scatters, why am I working this hard? The answer: precisely because it scatters, it's worth taking seriously. You don't resent a flower for wilting. If anything, knowing it will wilt is why you look at it twice. That's the pivot of the whole poem. Impermanence isn't telling you not to love. It's telling you to love it properly, while it's here. The tighter you grip, the more afraid you are, the less you enjoy. Hold it right, and you're actually present, actually with it. There's an image that fits exactly. You're holding a small bird. Too tight and you kill it. Too loose and it's gone. Loving something that changes is that grip. Steady, but not squeezing. And it's a grip you can train. This is why that last line carries so much weight. Without it, the poem really is bleak. Everything is a dream, a bubble, a shadow. And then what? Then all you can do is sigh. But he adds, so should you see it. Meaning, therefore this is how you look and how you practice. 5 words turn a bleak poem into homework. What does the homework actually look like? It's simple, 10 seconds. Next time you notice you're gripping, tense, add 1 line inside your head. This was put together, and it will change. No sitting down, no closing your eyes. You can do it walking or in a meeting. And you'll notice, after you say it, your chest is less tight. The situation hasn't changed. What's changed is that there's a little space between you and it. That little space is the practice. It's one breath of room put back between you and the thing you're holding. Pause here. Take a minute for yourself. Think about what's in your hands right now. A relationship, a position, a plan. When was the last time fear of losing something? It made you hold it so hard it lost its shape. And which one was it? This week's homework is small. 6 similes. Pick one. Pick whichever fits your life right now and make it your default reminder. You don't need all 6. 1, used until it's worn in, is plenty. How to choose. Look at whether things are going well or badly. If you've been doing well lately, gripping hard, afraid of the drop, take the bubble. It reminds you. Hold it lightly, and it stays beautiful longer. If you've been low, an ordinary flat stretch, take the dew. It reminds you, this drop is dry by noon. But be honest with yourself about which one you're in. If you genuinely can't take much more, the dew is not the tool for that. A person is. Please talk to someone today. And if you live mostly in the past or the future, endlessly rerunning old material or rehearsing things that haven't happened, take the lightning. It reminds you, the present is that fast. Look away and you've missed it. Different people are short of different things. So don't carry all 6. Take the one you're missing. Here's a worked example. Today you get a message. The project's been killed. You're immediately furious and you want to fire back something sharp. This is the moment to reach for the dew. This heat is morning dew, and it will be dry by noon. Let it dry a little before you reply. Most of the time, you'll be glad you waited. And one from the good side. You got the promotion. You're delighted the money went up. This is the moment to reach for the bubble. Enjoy it without immediately deciding you're now a great man. Because a bubble is beautiful, and it's still a bubble. Hold it lightly and it keeps you company longer. All 6 can actually be folded into one sentence. 4 words. This will pass too. It looks simple, but it has 2 uses. Said when things are good, it's a kind of humility. Don't get loud, because this will pass too. Said when things are bad, it's a different kind of strength. It becomes hope. Hold on, because this will pass too. The same 4 words. In the good stretch, they keep your head from swelling. In the bad stretch, they're something to hold on to. Not a treatment if the bad stretch isn't lifting. 4 words won't lift it, and that's what a doctor is for. That's the gift impermanence gives you. It isn't telling you to want nothing. It's giving you a stance, one you can hold steady in any weather. Sunshine doesn't go to your head. Rain doesn't wash you away. Because you know the weather turns. One last thing, so you don't agonize over the choice. The 6 similes are 6 doors, and behind them is the same room. Any door will get you in. Walk through one often enough, and the other 5 open by themselves. Don't be greedy. 1 is enough. End of class quiz. 3. Quick. 1. What are conditioned things? Everything that's been put together and is held up by conditions. Your flat, your position, today's mood. 2. Are the 6 similes 6 different things? No. 6 lenses aimed at one impermanence. 3. Is, so should you see it, an answer? No. It's an instruction. Go all in and hold it lightly. 1 line to take with you. This will pass too, which is exactly why it's worth doing properly. If that lands less bleakly than it did an hour ago, today has half worked. The other half is you using it. Look back at the distance you covered. From a funeral poem you thought was grim to a grip you can use tomorrow. Steady, but not squeezing. If you keep only one thing from today, keep that grip. Map update today is a milestone. The entire Diamond Sutra region, fully lit. 4 cuts, all made. Don't pitch camp. Don't take the mark for the thing. Don't carry the bundles. See it this way. From how to act to how to watch the whole of it. You can put this blade away. Step back and look at the course. The Heart Sutra taught you emptiness, how things get assembled, and why they can't be held. The Diamond Sutra taught you non-abiding, marklessness, impermanence, how to move through a world like that. You have both tools now, which leaves one last question. The question is this. All of it in ordinary life. In the kitchen, at the market, going to work, and coming home. How do you actually use it? Talk about emptiness and impermanence all you like. If it doesn't touch the ground, it's just talk. And that question is the whole of the next unit. By now, the Diamond Sutra's blade is entirely in your hands. But the Buddha adds one last note. Don't grip this blade either. A knife is for cutting, not for collecting. Cut, then put it down. That is the deepest layer of so should you see it. Before you go, we'll read it once more. Slowly this time. You don't have to remember it, just listen. All things that have been put together are like a dream, an illusion, a bubble, a shadow. Like dew and like lightning. So should you see them. Hearing those 4 lines now, they should sit less heavily than they did at the start. Because they aren't saying, everything disappears, how sad. They're saying, everything flows. So hold it lightly, and you'll actually keep hold of it. The bleak part was the gripping. The letting go is where the lightness is. Next lesson, we enter the Platform Sutra, the final unit of the whole course. Its main character is an illiterate man who made his living cutting firewood. He'll take the map and the blade you're holding and show you how to use them for real in a kitchen on an ordinary day. And next time opens on a contest. The prize is the leadership of an entire school. The favorite is the head monk, the senior student. The man who wins it is pounding rice in the kitchen and can't read. And after he wins, he has to flee in the night. Next lesson. There is no bodhi tree. If this course is sharpening how you see, subscribe and turn on notifications 1 lesson a week. Before you go, today's comment question. It's about how you feel, not a test. Which of the 6 similes did you pick as your reminder? The bubble, the dew, or another one? Tell me why. This is Dharma Decoded. 4 words to keep. This will pass too. This week's homework. Pick one simile and use it once. See you next lesson.